Hello and welcome to another edition of the Chartered Career Chat series. I am delighted today to welcome Emma Noonan of KPMG Ireland. Emma, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks a million for having me, Sinead. Delighted to be involved.
Brilliant. Well, look, without further ado, it would be lovely to get a bit of an introduction from yourself. Will you fill us in where you're up to on your chartered career journey?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a second year at the moment in KPMG. I'm setting up to sit my CAP 2 exams. So I would have actually come from, for my Leaving Cert, I would have done science. Then I went for my undergrad, I went into Commerce International. So a bit of a jump, bit of a change. I absolutely loved the matter of fact of science. I loved French, but I've also always had an interest in business. And, I didn't really want to box myself into a specific area of business because I wasn't sure. So kind of wanted to get a flavour of everything. Did an internship in KPMG during my time in commerce and then was offered a graduate programme. So from that, find myself 2 years later, getting ready for the exams now. So it's been good, an interesting journey. But
Absolutely. And then obviously, as you're touching on there, you're working full time in KPMG and the chartered accountancy, I suppose, training piece bolts on to that. So it's a mix of the work experience as well as the education journey. How are you finding it?
I think it's definitely to be honest with you, there are times when it is challenging. But the one thing I do keep in my mind is that you're not going through it alone. There are a number of students, both in your intake, but also in the intakes above you, that are going through the exams with you. So the firms will always offer support. Chartered accountants have a number of supports available to students. But, it is an element of you sitting the exam. So you need to be able to put your head down and prepare for them. At the end of a long day of work, sometimes it's difficult to say, okay, time to open up the folders. But really, that's kind of concentrated around the exams themselves and around the interims. So, there is time for downtime. It can be a bit overwhelming when you come in the first day and you get your timetable for your lectures. That was definitely a bit of a shock to the system. But, as long as you pass your exams at the end of the day, that's what matters. So really it's just about keeping that in mind. You can get through it. There are the supports in place. So that's definitely what I keep in my mind anyway.
It's the long-term game. You're thinking of the long play and that qualification exactly. At the end of it. I am aware, Emma, I know you are the chairperson of the All Ireland Student Society. Would you tell me a bit about that? What's that all about?
Well, I feel like I might be a bit biased, but it's great. I really enjoy it. No, I definitely. So Chartered Accountants Student Society of Ireland is a student body a committee which represents the student bodies. So within that we have regional societies. So they would be very much student facing societies. So it would be the likes of CASSI, which is Ulster. There's one in Dublin, there's one in Cork, Galway, Midlands and South East. So they're all subcommittees of CASSI, and if they organise their own events, so you can have specific regional events that you can attend, whether they be social, educational or career-based events. But then CASSI also have, and so for example, if there's any queries or concerns that students may raise within that region, they would then escalate that to CASSI, who would then escalate that on to Chartered Accountants Ireland. The social side of it, the less formal side, is there's a great weekend away for the Student Society of Ireland, so CASSI, which I chair. So that's when all of the regions can come together. So rather than having their individual events, we all come together from all over Ireland and have a bit of crack. And I think that's a great opportunity for you to meet students that aren't just from your region, but students from all over Ireland. So that's great crack, really enjoyable. It's definitely the biggest event that we hold because a number of students come down to it from all over Ireland. But I think the one thing that's great about the student societies is the network that you build. You get to meet a number of people, especially on CASSI, you get to meet a number of students from all over Ireland. You also get to escalate any of the students' questions directly to chartered accountants. And I think what's really important and unique to chartered accountants is the fact that they do listen to the student body, and they really do implement some of the changes. Like, for example, for the FE exams, there was an introduction of a break day in between the two exams, or the 4 exams initially. So I think that was great. It's great to be involved in a society like that, and it's just brilliant to have the network there. It definitely makes the exams and the whole process easier and really enjoyable.
Absolutely. I'm thinking back to my own time in the local Ulster Society. I loved being involved in the student society, and it's all, as you say, it's all that networking piece, the social piece, and even other skills you're maybe finding you're developing, like event management and planning agendas of activity for your student body and being that voice, and then bringing them to Chartered Accountants Ireland. It's fabulous. Congratulations on that role, by the way.
Thanks, Will.
In terms of go back maybe to the day job, would you tell me a bit more about that? What is it you're doing in your role?
So I would be in an assurance space predominantly. So it's mainly about if new regulation would come in, we would write standards, frameworks, policies for the client or alongside the client. And it's basically to ensure that they're complying with the regulation. We perform assessments against their everyday work with the standards or the frameworks. And if there are any discrepancies, it's just about making sure that they do implement some of the needful in order to actually comply with that new regulation. So that's mainly the space I'd be working in terms of, there is more technical side of it. I'd be working on the likes of Excel. I'd be working on our deliverables, which are mainly PowerPoint presentations, so slide decks. And that's definitely something which I've gotten used to. I think as a trainee, it's really important when you're down in the detail to remember the bigger picture. It's not just like you're working on one slide and I'm just doing like what my superiors asked me. You really have to be inquisitive. You have to see like what is the purpose of this deck. And I think that really does help you do your day-to-day job, and it also helps you kind of see what it's all about. Like why am I doing this small part of it? Well, it's actually to ensure compliance with new regulations. So it is really interesting. I do enjoy my day job. I enjoy my job, full stop, but it's great. Definitely.
And then on the other half, you've got the education program. How do you find it? Is it varied? What's it been like for you?
So I think the education side, it definitely is varied, and you'll see an evolution or a move towards more data analysis, artificial intelligence, just in my day job. And that's definitely something you can see chartered accountants are beginning to align to in terms of the introduction to the newer FAE syllabus. So the emerging technologies which have been introduced to us, like that is something which I think is excellent that we get exposure to in terms of a theoretical background. Because we can bring that then to our day job, and it's something that, say, our superiors may not have been exposed to. So, to actually be able to bring that to the table is a significant value. So it's great that, the education side does have that. And definitely makes it more interesting, makes it more real world from what we're learning anyway during work.
Brilliant. In terms of skill sets, do you think there's maybe, say, 3 in particular that are needed in I suppose, being a chartered accountant or a student trainee chartered accountant?
Yeah, so I'd say there are definitely 3 skills which kind of stick out in my mind, and that's in terms of, I've touched on some of them before, but that's in terms of, say, having an element of self-discipline, attention to detail while being able to maintain or see the bigger picture. And then finally would be communication skills. So the first one is definitely something which is very applicable when you're a trainee. It's about, at the end of the day, having that self-discipline to open up a book. If you have your exams coming up, you do have to kind of bury the head a little bit, but bury the head in the books anyway. But it's definitely something, you do need to keep in mind. It's not all about work. There is an element of downtime. But it's definitely like you need to sit your exams. Like it's the supports are there, but you definitely need to remember that. And the next point is the attention to detail. You'll find yourself down in the detail, as I said, And it's really important to be inquisitive, ask questions, maintain a sight of the bigger picture, because it will add value to the work that you're doing and also make it more inclusive, interesting. So that's definitely a skill you will learn, a skill I'm currently learning as I go through my journey, but it's definitely something that I would like to better as a skill, but it's very relevant to the day job. And then finally is communication skills. So, you know, every day I'd find myself on client side. So you are in a professional environment. It's great that you're studying, like there is that element of, you know, I'm still studying, working full time, but you are a professional and that's what you're working towards. It's so communicating with this client in a professional manner is definitely something which is extremely important and relevant to the jobs that you will do. So it's a skill that you learn over time. It's a skill as I said, I'm learning all of these skills as I go. So yeah, they would definitely be the ones that would stick out most in my mind.
Brilliant. In terms of your journey to date, has anything surprised you about it?
I would say the one thing that does surprise me is definitely the variety that I've been exposed to. I know I did, as I said, I did the internship in KPMG, and like it just really was different to the stereotypical image of the accountant I had in my mind. So as the years go on, I definitely do see the variety continues. It's never like, you know, you've learned one thing and that's it, full stop. There is a whole another realm of things that you will learn, and I'll continue to learn. So I think, you know, at the end of the day, what's really important as a trainee is to come in with an open mind. You know, you can never stop learning. And there's just so much information that you'll soak up. So that was, I don't know if it was surprising, but it was definitely something I was delighted to be exposed to when I came in, you know, that it's not just one size fits all and this is what you're going to do for the next however many years. It's about, you know, taking in information and constantly upskilling.
Brilliant. Is it something, I suppose, on that note, you would recommend, Emma?
In terms of
maybe somebody out there considering a chartered accountancy career, do you think pursuing this pathway is something you would recommend, or otherwise?
Sorry, yeah, absolutely. It is definitely something I would recommend for if you are interested in business. If you're not too, if you were like me, you weren't too sure, it's definitely something that is an excellent foundation for whatever you find yourself in. Obviously I'm in the midst of it, but I've definitely spoken to some of my superiors and those who are through it, such as newly qualified, and every single one of them says that, you know, it is worth the effort that you put in and the work that you put in, and it will absolutely stand to you. And you know, people I would have spoken to who would have moved roles, it's the skills that you do learn during this qualification or in this qualification have absolutely stood to them and have been a foundation which not many people would be exposed to otherwise. So I would absolutely recommend it. I'm delighted I chose it. I look forward to hopefully getting through it, no bother, but we'll see. But yeah, no, definitely I would.
Brilliant. Look, thank you so much for talking to me today. I know you've got a set of exams coming up this summer and probably study leave impending very soon. So very best wishes for that, and really appreciate your time and continued success on your chartered story as it unfolds.
Brilliant. Thanks a million, Sinead.
Thanks, Emma. Take care.